You're listening to Life Repair Recovery Talk Radio with Rick Thompson, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hello, welcome to Life Repair Recovery Talk Radio. I am your host, Rick Thompson. This show is about sobriety and recovery. Each week, we discuss a different topic relating to addiction with the aim that you can gain some insight, guidance, and hope from our discussions. We focus the show in 3 different segments. 1, the viewpoint of the families dealing with the family members suffering from alcoholism and addiction so they may assist them in obtaining treatment. 2, the psychological trauma and emotional damage alcoholics and addicts and their families experience. 3, the role of the insurance companies and associate providers and their part in the recovery process. Welcome to the recorded broadcast. How are you? Welcome, everybody. Tonight we have 3 special guests in the studio. Taylor, Becky, and Michelle. Hello, ladies. Welcome to the broadcast.
Hi.
Wow. Okay. I would like to start off and ask you if you could share with us your personal stories and backgrounds. And we'll start with Becky.
Yes. I'm the youngest of 6, and I went to a private school my whole life. Didn't grow up with any drugs around. I actually had some bad experiences with boys and weed. And once they started smoking weed, their behaviors changed and started treating me poorly. So it was actually kind of a deal breaker for me. I decided I wasn't going to date anybody that smoked weed. And then I met this guy about 2 years ago that I'm from Portland, Oregon, and so he owned a medical marijuana dispensary up there. And
wow, that's a bit extreme.
Yeah, right. I was like, that's not
no
happening.
Weed store. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, no, I'm crossing you off the list right now.
He can smoke, but he has to own it, you know.
Right.
There's a revenue stream.
But he was like, let me show you that not all guys who smoke weed are bad guys. So for whatever reason, I said okay. And also at this time, I was trying to get some privacy from my family. I come from a very smothering family. And so I used to tell my mom and my sisters everything. So then when I started being more vague, just trying to keep privacy in my life, not that I was intentionally hiding anything, I just wanted to keep my relationship private. And to them, that was red flags, even though there wasn't anything bad going on at that time. But just with the stress of them, it gave me more anxiety. And I was seeing a nurse practitioner at the time who gave me a prescription for Xanax. And then when things kept getting worse, she added Valium on top of it. And I just wasn't handling the stress very well. And so then my boyfriend was like, here, I have this weed oil that is more calming. Because I smoked weed with him just a couple times and I didn't really like it.
What was the difference between the pot, which there's so many various forms of it now, I can't even wrap my head around it, and weed oil and the oil? I mean, we're talking about direct oil from THC?
Well, actually, I can't really answer that because what I know, when I smoked the plant, I got really anxious. Mm-hmm. And so he was like, well, here's this oil that will be more calming. And it took probably a year. I was sporadically smoking it with him, maybe once or twice a month. And then I stopped for 6 months and then started again. And then after all of this time, when I started smoking it daily, I noticed that I got sick when I didn't smoke it. And I found out later that it was heroin he was giving me. So I didn't know it was heroin at the time, or else I wouldn't have smoked it.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but I didn't know at the time that's what it was. And so my parents saw that something was wrong. They had my boyfriend arrested. I didn't realize, 3 months later, I found out that arrest was from when my parents hired a private investigator and had us followed for about 3 months.
Right.
And so then when I found out about that, it was after I had just done, my parents sent me to treatment a year before. This is probably 18 months ago now. And so I came back from treatment, went over this whole plan with them. They were like, okay, I'll respect your wishes. Then I found out that they were still having me followed by this investigator. That's when I first found out about it. So that made me just withdraw completely. I didn't want to be around my family. I couldn't trust them. They didn't support me. And then that's when I started smoking this so-called weed oil with him. And then it became like a daily thing around last October, November, and up until about March when the private investigator resurfaced. He was arrested again, and I decided I just have lost everything and decided to come to treatment in Malibu.
Okay. Whatever happened to the idiot?
He went to jail for about 5 months, and he was arrested for driving without a license, and then as a bonus, he had heroin in his pocket. So that's what he did his time for. He was already on probation, so they revoked his probation and made him do like 6 months, and then with good time, he got out. Yeah. So he's been out since May.
And where is he now?
He's out. He's in Portland.
Yes.
Yeah.
Far away from you.
Yeah, I'm not going back there.
Giving some other poor innocent girl hash oil.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, so that's incredible. He gets to do that to you, and he doesn't pay for that. How does that make you feel?
It's tough. I mean, I'm really angry. I'm mad. I'm mad at myself because I should have known better. I didn't grow up with drugs. I didn't even know that you could smoke heroin, to be honest. I missed some signals and some signs that maybe I should have paid attention to. But it's hard to say. I mean, I'm mad. I'm mad about what has happened, and relationships in my family have been ruined, and I'm trying to repair them. My job is in jeopardy, and but at the same time, it got me here. It got me down to Malibu, right. And I'm doing the best thing I could have ever done for my life. And if I wouldn't have been able to do that if this didn't happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Michelle.
All right. So I grew up on the East Coast. I was born and raised in New Jersey. And then when I was 19, I moved down to Florida. I come from a long line of addicts and alcoholics. My mom, my dad, my brother. My dad's actually sober, but my mom and brother are still active. Started using when I was in middle school. I started smoking pot when I was 11 or 12. I had an older brother. He had older friends. With my mom's partying and stuff, I was exposed to a lot of things at a really young age. My dad was a business owner, and so it was kind of just, I never grew up not needing or wanting for anything, but I didn't have that, at-home family support.
The emotional support.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I tried opiates for the first time when I was 14, and I just melted into the couch. And I just remember everything was numb, and I was just in complete euphoria, and I just completely fell in love. And I remember it was like a spiritual experience for me in a way. I remember thinking, I want to do this for as long as I can, as much as I can for the rest of my life. And then it's just been a long road since then. Been in and out of treatment since I was 16. Dropped out of high school at a young age. Moved out a month after my 17th birthday. It's like the life of a junkie. One day I feel like is 10 years on someone else's life. I'm 25. I feel like I've lived 5 different lives.
Understood.
So yeah, and then when I was 21. It was just the progression. It progressed from just, oxys and the Roxys, and then started just snorting heroin, and then eventually I, fell into the needle, and then came out here a year ago to Malibu to get treatment, and have still, obviously been struggling with it since. So that, I guess, is the in short version of my story.
Okay. So what'd you leave out? The really juicy stuff?
I mean,
that's what we want to hear, man. We want to hear the really dark shit.
Oh, I mean, there's so much dark shit. I had just so many hustles, I would run out of money, and I would steal shit from stores and then go back and return it. And if I could touch it, I could pawn it. I would fucking pawn a blender, TVs, whatever, power
right.
tools, just even at the gas station, I'd be like, I ran out of gas. Do you have $1 I could borrow? Taking money from my parents, taking out credit cards, maxing them out, buying my drug dealer shit, never paying the credit cards back. It's just, I will tell you this one really dark story. I mean, it's like dark and funny, but
please do.
I was like, okay, I'm just gonna, if a trap house, just education, if you don't know what that is, it's a junkie den that's broken down where a bunch of addicts go to use. And I was in this one trap house with this girl who for some reason had animals. If you're a drug addict, you should not have animals.
Probably not a good idea.
No. And she had a pet fox.
A pet fox? A junkie with a pet fox?
Yes, and a Bengal cat. I don't know how she afforded.
And a Bengal cat?
Yeah, I don't know how she afforded either of those things. Because a Bengal cat is like $3,000. And a fox she obviously obtained illegally.
Yes. And did she ever try to pawn either one of these to get more drugs?
No, but the fox did run away.
Well, the fox was smarter than a lot of
I know.
Fox knew when to
Sly
split.
fox. But yeah, but when you're, shooting heroin, smoking crack, and you got a fox there, it's just like not a good combination of things.
Makes for a great visual, though, doesn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's been a trip, but, here I am still plugging along, trying to get sober. That is my short, brief, crazy story.
Okay. Taylor?
All right. Hi, I'm Taylor.
Hi, Taylor.
Hi. So, okay, I came from the East Coast also, back in Maryland. I had a really loving home, honestly. I had 3 brothers. My parents were always there for me. Took care of whatever I needed. On my dad's side, it's a long line of alcoholics and addicts that many of them are still active in their using and drinking. My mom's side's a little bit more cleaned up than that. And I think that I was definitely born with that disease of alcoholism and that addictive brain. I was always obsessed with getting drunk for some reason or something to get out of my head. So I get drunk for the first time. I'm like, okay, this is it. And then it's like, okay, try some weed. Oh, yeah, you know what? These two go good together. And then I'm like, well, I always heard weed is bad, but it's really, really good, and it makes me feel good. So let me try, this white powder that's on the table. I don't even know what it was. You do it first and then ask what it's supposed to do after, and that's kind of what happened with me. And then it just all of a sudden 7 years go by, and it seemed like it was fun at first. But then when I started getting into the oxys and...
Now, the white powder was what, specifically?
Could I tell you?
Yes.
It was either No, I mean, I hope I can remember. I was doing so many different things. It was M1, Molly...
What is M1?
I don't... Is that... What?
You're asking the wrong person.
Some experimental chemical?
Yeah, it was experimental chemical, ketamine, meth... ecstasy. It was really any drug. Once I think a Xanax, I might have tried a Xanax for the first time. I can't even remember because I think I was in such a blur of just getting drunk and high all the time that I was just doing all these drugs, and before I knew it, I was willing to try anything.
Right.
Anything
to not feel.
Anything to not feel. Anything to get me out of my head. I do remember once doing Molly for the first time and calling my best friend. She was out of town, and I was like, you got to try this stuff. It's amazing. You just want to, love everyone. And I thought it was such a great thing, and then it just got...
Molly, is that like ecstasy or...
MDMA.
MDMA. Oh,
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And I thought that it was, the best thing ever.
I know what that is.
Oh, yeah. And then it got bad and dark really quickly.
Yeah. You find yourself making out with a car bumper. It's not pretty.
Yeah.
It's never good.
Yeah.
Never good. What the hell are you doing over there? Get away from that car.
Yeah, it got so bad. And then just not trying so... I'd have to work at 5 in the morning the next day. Mm-hmm. And I'd be like, okay, I'm going to go to bed now. And then all of a sudden I would be awake still, coming off the drugs with my alarm going off for work. And I'd get to work and be hot and cold and throwing up in the bathroom. And I worked at a restaurant, so... not really good to be around food when you feel like that.
Yeah.
This one time I stayed up too late and was partying all night, and then I was food running, and I ran food out to a table, and the smell of one of the dishes came off, and I almost puked right onto the table. It was my first day of work, actually.
Really?
Yeah. So.
Did they see you heave a little bit? Did they freak? Did
no,
it freak them out?
It was very like, obvious. Like, I almost heaved right on their table and luckily turned my head and spritzed a little bit. Luckily, it was on the patio.
Spritz?
I spritzed out.
Wow. And did they catch the spritzing incident?
I hope they didn't. I turned around, but they were totally staring right at me. But like I said, it was on the patio, so it was totally acceptable. No, it wasn't in the restaurant.
Oh, okay.
It was classy.
So you could
it was the classiest way you could spritz at a
I
restaurant.
see. So you could projectile vomit on the balcony, but not inside the restaurant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course.
To an extent.
To an extent.
You know, if you do it gracefully.
Gracefully. There's a graceful way to projectile vomit.
You know,
You might want to write a book. I'm just
working
saying.
on it.
Okay. All right.
It's graceful spritzing is what it's going to be called. But anyways, so yeah, it was just like all this stuff that I didn't realize how bad it was, and then all of a sudden I couldn't stop. The oxys really, really got me. The Opanas were what brought me straight to my knees. I was manipulating, stealing from my parents. I would force them to give me money, and if my mom didn't give me as much as I thought I needed, I would pretty much leave her crying. And just this poor woman, I've put my parents through so much. I mean, it was to the point where my younger brother was shaking his head at me, and when you have a younger sibling that's just looking at you like you're pathetic, it's just the worst feeling in the world. You're like, what am I doing with my life? And all I thought in my head the whole time was like, why can't I stop? I'd have so many, like, I'd buy so many drugs to last me for the week, and they'd be gone by the next morning, and I would be high, and I would still be doing them, and I'd say, why can't I stop doing this? What is wrong with me? And it just was miserable. I couldn't even sleep. I was doing so many opiates and sleeping pills, and I literally could not sleep. I just hated myself. And then I found treatment in Malibu where I met these awesome ladies, and I found a new way to live. And I'm really blessed now. Blessed to be alive.
Okay. I'm just going to throw this out at all three of you. What is the most challenging part of being clean and sober for each one of you?
For me is what I might miss out on. Like, I've had 2 weddings since I've been in treatment. My brother got married, and then my best friend got married, and just kind of wishing I could be a part of, I don't know, the alcohol and the fun with that. I still struggle with, I guess I get too self-conscious about myself, so big events like that, like, I really get in my head, and like alcohol used to kind of help with that, like kind of get me out of my shell.
Yeah. And
so now I have to kind of use something else to kind of get me out of that, because I can't drink alcohol with them. So
Right.
I think, and I don't know, I just kind of, it would be fun, but it's not a doorway to a path that's open anymore.
People like us we don't have that luxury.
We can't do that.
We can't do it.
We can't do it.
Yeah, I would say just being a young person and feeling left out, because everyone I work with, they'll go to the bar or they'll party or, just go out to clubs. And it's just like Becky said, I can't do that stuff. I can't just have a couple drinks and be satisfied. Like, I have a beer and then I think of heroin,
Wow. That's a hell of a segue. Yeah, I usually just thought about joints. I never thought about heroin.
It's like I party too hard, like I have like a drink and then I'm like, all right, like where's the needles,
Jesus.
And
wow.
People are like, whoa, like chill out, like why did we invite you?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So it's just like I can't do that stuff, and that kind of sucks sometimes, but I don't know, when you just get to a point where you're like, okay, if I go here, I'm going to wind up at the end of the night in a trap house smoking crack with strippers, possibly an exotic animal,
Strippers and an exotic animal. I always think I've heard it all, man, and then I get you three in here, and it's I've got wow, okay, foxes and blow, strippers and heroin. Okay, good.
Well, I am just going to touch on that for a second. I think that there are times where it's hard, especially when you're young and you're sober, to think, oh, I can't drink anymore, I can't use anymore. But, we could drink and we can use, but do we want to? We know exactly where it would go, and and we all know you can't stop an addict or an alcoholic from getting high or drunk if they really want to. We can go back to that, but do we want to do that? And I know I don't want to. I don't want to keep disappointing my family or myself. I think right now the hardest thing for me is the people that I really love and care for, and seeing them struggle and realizing that I might be going down this path that I don't know when they're going to meet me on it, if they're going to meet me on it, and how far they're going to make it in their active addiction. And that's that I can feel that pain that I was probably causing my parents for a long time.
Now, in reference to the heroin usage, did all three of you shoot heroin, or did you just?
I only smoked it.
Okay.
I snorted it.
I shot.
Did you ever vomit after you got high?
Mm-hmm.
All three of you? Yes, or
no,
just when you
actually,
shot?
I don't think I did.
I have thrown up a couple times.
I've thrown up when I didn't.
Yeah.
When I was
Right, when you were dope sick.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've done both.
Yeah, because when I was a kid, I was working this Aerosmith show, and there was a couple of unnamed individuals that were in the dressing room, and they shot up, and I'd never seen anybody do it, and then they puked, and the first thing I thought in my mind was, that will not get me laid. I never did it, and I went, that was it. That was pretty much all it took for me. That's a miracle, because I know guys that did it for years. I buried a lot of people. It's wow. Okay, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the Fox and the in the dope house. We're going to be back in a second, right after this message. I would like to take a moment and talk to you about the Villa Treatment Center. Their integrated substance abuse and dual diagnoses program rests on foundational principles of personal responsibility, structure, and service. Whether you are at the beginning of your recovery journey or farther along the road, the Villa Treatment Center offers an individual plan to suit all of your recovery needs. Detoxification by doctors specializing in addiction medicine, residential treatment, transitional living, day treatment, and full care outpatient services are available. Please call 818-505-6900 for further information. That's 818-505-6900 and begin your recovery now. The website for Life Repair Recovery Talk Radio is www.latalkradio.com. Life Repair Recovery Talk Radio is on Channel 1. We are broadcasting live from our studios every Sunday at 6 p.m. West Coast time. All of our shows are archived on the www.latalkradio.com site and can be accessed 24/7. Our call number is 323-203-0815. That's 323-203-0815. And now back to our show. And we're back. Another question. What would be the most essential elements to your battling your addiction?
Support.
Okay.
Fellowship. Having sober friends and having fun in sobriety, because if you're not doing that, then why be sober?
Well, one would think that, other than the embalming table, taking a big pass on that.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
But just having a meaningful, fulfilling life. Because drugs just take so much. Drugs lead you to such dark places and take you to such, painful,
depths. Yeah.
Painful depths, So I just think being happy and living a good life, I think, is essential to staying sober.
Okay.
I think that's a good point. And also, doing all this work the last 5 months, being in treatment and stuff, being more aware and mindful and aware of why you are feeling the way you're feeling, and you can kind of you can see kind of where those feelings would go and do actions to prevent you from getting further down a path you don't want to be. So like for me right now, I could see me going down like a isolation path and being aware of it, being aware of my emotions and my feelings, and try and do like contrary action to it, and like get out and do something with somebody, reach out to my friends, my sober buddies.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that they both kind of touched on it. It's really about, I think, staying busy and productive. Actually, doing something, being social, also working on yourself, being aware of what's holding you back or what's keeping you from doing something you need to get done. I believe everything comes down to fear and love, and if you're not doing something that you're supposed to be doing that you feel like you should be doing, what are you afraid of? What's keeping you back from it? And if there's nothing to fear, just do it. And do it with love and positivity. Light attracts light. So,
right.
I think that good things will come to you if you put good things out there.
That's usually the way it works. How many meetings do you guys make a day?
A day?
A day.
We were going to...
Sometimes 2.
Yeah. When I was in treatment, it was 2 a day. When I got out of treatment and started working, it's 1 a day. So
yeah,
okay.
I try and go to at least. I give myself Sundays off usually, but I try and find one at least every evening. But then there's a morning one that we used to go to in treatment that's just awesome. So sometimes I'll hit that up too, and so I end up doing like 2 a day.
Okay. Are this NA and AA combined, or do you just stay with one specific program which covers everything?
I do more, and I probably balance it out, probably 50-50. I like NA just as much. A lot of people don't, and when we were in treatment, they took us to 1 NA in the evening, and all the other evenings were usually AA, but I started asking people or staff that go to NA, and they set me up with more meetings that were NA meetings, so I started going to meetings by myself, which was like, I would have never done that when I first got down here, but...
Okay, what do you say to yourselves when you experience the craving, and how do you process it to get through it and think through it?
I say, when I want to drink or use, I just want to feel better. So what's bothering me right now that I can make myself feel better? And if it's not that, and I'm just like entertaining the idea of getting high, I just play the tape through right away. Where am I going to go from this? The negative feelings that are going to come up, how much shame I feel for myself. Like, am I going to make it back into these rooms? I don't know. This disease wants to kill me, or something worse. Oh, I don't even know if there's something worse. But, jail's institutionalized in death.
Right.
That's my outcomes if I keep using. So who knows if I would just use for 1 day or 3 months or ever make it back into the rooms.
Right. Okay.
Play the tape through.
Yeah, I just try to think, I guess same with what Taylor said, just try to play the tape through, like, where is this going to take, okay, if I go out and I just do this, I know it's not going to be enough, I know I'm going to want more and more and more, and then where's my life going to go? Like, the end result every time I've relapsed is me losing everything and everyone I love, and I just got to a point, I guess, where I'm not willing to lose anything anymore.
Okay, all right.
I, had a really enlightening therapy session maybe like a month ago, and we were talking about like living in recovery and what that means, and not just like staying sober or clean, but like the life changes that you make. And I can just hear my therapist, and actually like anytime I think about any sort of craving or using or drinking or anything, I literally like hear his voice and just him saying, you don't pick up no matter what.
Yes.
So no matter what, and you just don't pick up no matter what. So he's in my head.
That's good. That's good, because
Yeah.
that's what you're supposed to do, is not do anything but make a phone call.
Don't make any trigger an excuse to use, pretty
Right.
much.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Do you guys feel you're in control of your lives right now?
No.
Getting there.
I don't think will we ever be in control of our lives. I think God is in control of our lives. That's personally me.
Okay.
I find that the
That's a good
least
answer.
the least I worry about things, the more things seem to work out, and the more I try to force everything to happen.
That's when things go south and get ugly.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're all like that. Go ahead.
I guess just more, I mean, yeah, I do agree with you.
You mean manageable?
Yeah, it's more manageable, 100%. When you're not shooting drugs every day, you can do things like go to work and
Shower.
and
Oh, yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because things can get a little gamey after a few days. And,
Definitely.
Yeah, that's never good.
Can get a little weird,
Yeah.
So.
You can only turn your underwear inside out so many times. So.
And thank you for that lovely visual. That's great. Okay. Wow.
I'm not in control right now. I am just trying to get through the days right now. My career is kind of up in the balance, and I just have to wait it out. It's a waiting game, and I'm just trying to make the best of it right now and turn things over to God, like Taylor said, and hope that whatever happens is supposed to happen, and if something doesn't go the way that I would want it, it's because something better is coming along, so I just have to wait.
Okay.
Wait and see.
And
Wait and see, and
Okay.
get myself there.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you understand why you used in the first place? Was it rage, misunderstandings with your parents or peers, or another reason?
Yeah, I couldn't handle the stress. I felt smothered by my family, and I didn't understand the whole boundaries thing when it was going on. And I just felt so much anxiety, and I could not. And I kept explaining how I was feeling to them, but I kind of when I grew up, I didn't really have a voice with my family, so they just naturally didn't hear me. They thought I was getting defensive, and they weren't really listening to how I was feeling. And I just was trying to do anything just to make me, like, calm down, relax.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if there's any particular reason. I just know that from as young as I can remember, I felt like I never fit in. I just never felt whole, and I felt different. And when I started using, I didn't feel any of those things. I felt like I could be social. I could talk to people. I didn't have anxiety. I felt like, when I first picked up the drug, it was the missing piece to my puzzle. It filled me up and it made me feel good. And then eventually it just became a habit, and then it was a dependency, and then it was over. I mean, I could look back on a million things in my life and my family dynamic and be like, oh, well, this and that. But at the end of the day, I just felt like there was a hole in my soul, and I just chased my entire life to fill it.
Okay. That's an accurate answer.
I think Michelle kind of hit it spot on. I felt like a miserable little girl, never was a part of anything, very insecure, so sad. I had no reason to feel this depressed, but I was. And I just felt like I couldn't even connect with people. And then all of a sudden, and that's what I think I was obsessed with alcohol at first, because I would see people connect on it, and I was like, I need that. And then weed helped me get that. And then the MDMA helped me get that. And it's like every time I tried a new drug, it worked until it didn't anymore. And then I hated myself, and then pills made me forget it all. And it was all about getting out of my head at that point.
One thing that I think is a basic concept on the general public is that when they think of heroin addicts, they think of low-income people that are living on welfare and living in the projects. And all three of you are from very affluent families. Mm-hmm. So, which shows that this can happen to anybody in any given moment.
Absolutely.
And that's something I think that the listeners need, and people in general need to really take into account, because this thing is, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, I grew up in the 70s and in the 80s, and it was there. But it wasn't like chic to do heroin. Mm-hmm. Blow was a whole different thing. Cocaine was a different animal. That was what everybody was doing. And if someone did, heroin, they'd go, no. And now everybody's doing heroin, and it's cheap, and it's an absolute nightmare. Do you guys miss the high and the euphoria from it?
Sometimes, but I don't miss the consequences that come from it. It's euphoria for a couple minutes, and then after that, it's just complete misery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of like I can't go back to when it was that euphoria and that high anymore, because I've learned a different path. I know how much it's destroyed my life, and I mean, I know people who've gotten high, and all they talk about is how bad they want to be sober while they're high. You know, Michelle, I know you know people like that, and. So it's just shows you that it's not like a happy thing anymore. Like you can't ever go back to once you start to experience sobriety. I don't think you can ever go back and really enjoy getting high anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was gonna kind of say. Like you do when you're sitting here like clean, sober, you still think about the good times that were there. But I just have to remember that that's not waiting for me outside those doors. If I decide to go out, it's the bottoms and it's the struggles, and it was everything that got me to rehab when I got here. That's what's waiting for me, not the good times. So I just have to remember that.
Yeah. I mean, what's the point of entertaining how good it was when you can remember how bad it was and just stop thinking about it?
And it gets worse. They always say relapse, it gets worse.
It does.
Just thinking that.
Faster.
I was thinking that.
And worse, yeah.
Do you think there's anything anyone could have said to you that would have changed your using?
I wish I had known what it was, or I wouldn't have done it.
Okay.
I wish I was like you, Becky, because I was like, oh my god.
And I haven't tried all those other things, like things that you were listing. Like I tried
like,
weed and heroin, apparently. Like
I
and
always
alcohol.
dreamed of somebody giving me free heroin.
I know. I was like, where are all these free drugs that they tell us about in school?
Oh, the best part?
Like when
first.
someone offers you drugs, it's like, well, that never happens. So
The best part was after he got arrested and he wasn't coming out, he made the deal. He asked the dealer to give me free heroin to keep me well until he got out, so then I wouldn't find out that it was heroin.
And
I just got like free stuff every day until.
And what was her number?
What was
his
her
name?
number?
I'm sorry, that is a joke.
Wow. What's her number?
That's terrible. It really is. Heroin's a really nasty drug, and it is sad what's going on right now. It is.
yeah, it's an epidemic.
But
I've got some information here that was provided to me by the Clare Foundation, which is a foundation that makes treatment very affordable for the people that don't have the expensive PPO insurance. Unintentional overdose deaths from prescription pain meds more than quadrupled since 1999. More people died from drug overdoses in 2014 than any year on record, and the majority of these deaths, more than 6 out of 10, involved an opioid. I'm sure that has increased dramatically, but stats are always slow in coming in. Every day, this has got to be a little higher. They say 78 people die from an opioid-related overdose every day, and 580 people start using every day. 3 days ago, and I just found this out by just surfing the internet by accident, that I believe it was within a 48-hour period that over 68 people overdosed in Cincinnati alone, and there was the EMTs were called. And this is Cincinnati, Ohio, in the middle of nowhere. So if it's happening there, can you imagine what the stats are for Chicago, New York, L.A.? You know, it's mind-boggling. The face of addiction has changed, and not just addicts and dark alleys with syringes. Opioid addiction can start with adolescents getting wisdom teeth out and being prescribed medication that turns into abuse. And that correlates into moms and dads' pain meds after surgery. There's over $55 billion in health and social costs related to prescription opioid abuse each year. $20 billion in emergency department inpatient care for opioid poisonings. Obviously, people are losing their homes or jobs, and this leads to the major homelessness and separations and destruction of families. And it certainly is something to think about. We'll be right back. I would like to take a moment and talk to you about the Villa Treatment Center. Their integrated substance abuse and dual diagnoses program rests on foundational principles of personal responsibility, structure, and service. Whether you are at the beginning of your recovery journey or farther along the road, the Villa Treatment Center offers an individual plan to suit all of your recovery needs. Detoxification by doctors specializing in addiction medicine, residential treatment, transitional living, day treatment, and full care outpatient services are available. Please call 818-505-6900 for further information. That's 818-505-6900 and begin your recovery now. The website for Life Repair Recovery Talk Radio is www.latalkradio.com. Life Repair Recovery Talk Radio is on Channel 1. We are broadcasting live from our studios every Sunday at 6 p.m. West Coast time. All of our shows are archived on the www.latalkradio.com site and can be accessed 24/7. Our call number is 323-203-0815. That's 323-203-0815. And now back to our show. And we're back.
Hello.
Did you guys ever feel stuck?
Yes.
In our addiction?
Yeah, now.
No.
I mean,
I feel stuck, which brought me to treatment, but even leaving treatment, now I feel stuck.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
because I just think that when you're using, you make this identity for yourself, and then when you get sober, you kind of have to find yourself again. Who am I? What color do I like? What do I like to wear? What music do I like? You know, I feel like I'm still finding my new things about myself every day.
Interesting.
Good answer.
Interesting. What color is your favorite color?
Black.
You know, and I would have never got that together in my head, being that you're wearing all black. Okay. Wow.
What's my favorite color?
You feel stuck? Obviously, it's blue. Because of your eyes.
Yeah.
Right. Maryland women.
So I think that because I was, going through treatment, I realized back in my old town that no, I cannot go back there. It's too many bad influences, and I'm not there yet. I'm not ready to go back home. So yeah, I'm kind of like right now I'm staying at my aunt and uncle's place, which is amazing. It's great that they are letting me stay there, and I'm blessed to have that. But yeah, I do feel kind of stuck. Like, I just think that I've partied and put so many things off that this is my time to really like start getting stuff done, saving up money, and like becoming an adult. And I don't believe I'll be in this stuck position forever. Mm-hmm. But right now, yeah, I'm working, going to meetings, and then going home by my 10 o'clock curfew, and going to bed, and then waking up and doing it all over again. But I have fun, and I get to hang out with these guys, and
I did want to add, it's a different kind of stuck.
Yes.
So like when you're using and then you hit the dependency part, like you're just stuck in this vicious cycle of making sure you're not sick and becoming functional. Like I had to move out of my apartment and hide from my parents how I was using so I could function and move. Right. But now, like Michelle said, you are finding yourself kind of all over again, and so many doors have opened. There's so many different paths you can take, like all to a better life, and I feel kind of stuck. I don't know which way to go right now.
It's like a good kind of stuck.
It is.
Yeah,
because when I was
so many more options, better options.
When I was stuck in addiction, I would just remember thinking, this is who I am, and this is who I'm going to be for the rest of my life. I'm just going to be a junkie, and I'm just going to shoot up, and then I'm probably just going to die. Now looking back, I'm like, God, that is so sad. And I'm so sad for myself that I felt that way. And I'm sad because I know there's a million other addicts out there who are using that feel that way.
Sure they do.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't show up for people. I couldn't go on vacation because will I have enough drugs with me when I go on vacation? Will I have enough money? Will I not do them all before it's over? Like
they usually do.
Yeah, and I usually do, and
good.
I know myself. Yeah, so I was. Yeah, I mean, we have options now. We definitely do. Yeah, and I'm grateful. I really am. It's amazing.
Okay, that's good. What can you tell us about your direct experience with the epidemic, as far as all of the people that you guys got high with and your interactions with them? And when you kind of had that come-to moment, what your perception of that was. And then, now that you're clean and sober and you've had a little education and you're watching television and you're seeing the epidemic aspect of it, what do you think about that?
Go ahead.
You sure? Okay, well, it just hurts because since I've been sober, I've seen especially pregnant friends getting so bad into the pills, and I know so many soon-to-be mothers that are getting so high and become so dependent on it so quickly, and then they're using needles and heroin and stuff, like with a baby inside them. Those babies are now coming out dependent. I've seen the prescription pills, especially the Xanax and opiate combination. I've known too many people overdosing on that. And it's literally like back in my hometown, every single day I'm hearing about another person I know or grew up with that died. And looking back, my heart aches for them. And I can even look back at the junkies that I couldn't stand because they're junkies, and obviously I'm not, which I totally was. Like, projections and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I can look at them now. I can be like, they did some messed up stuff to me, but they were so far in their addiction, and I probably would have done the same type of things to someone that would let me.
It's sad to see because you see how people are and what they're doing, and they're so far into their addiction, they are so lost, and there's so much potential in them that it's hard. But I also remember when I was smoking it and when I figured out what it was, I remember thinking to myself, this isn't that bad. Like, that was a really scary thought for me.
Well, the justification thing. Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, that too. But, yeah, I was like, I don't know why heroin has such a bad rep. Like, this isn't that bad. I wasn't shooting it. But you can quickly go there. And I think also there's a gap. Actually, we were just talking about this on the break. There's a gap in education because when I was in nursing school, they teach us, and then they have us educate to patients that if you take pain medicine as it's prescribed when you need it, when you're in pain, that it will not lead you to addiction. And there are so many people that I've met that that's what took them out. They might have been clean and sober for years, and they had an injury, and that's what took them out. So I think that we need to do better education on like what is really going on.
The consequences of it. If you prescribe a 16-year-old boy 15 milligram oxycodone every day for a month, and you expect that kid to not have some sort of physical dependency on it, it's insane, because I've seen it happen so many times. Or like the 30s, and and it's just. And you're right. They need to educate people on the consequences and the parents on the consequences of what drug that kid's actually taking, and not just be like, "Here, take this and get rid of their pain."
And it falls on people that have an addiction. They're aware of it, whether it's in the history or whatever. If you get injured and you have narcotics prescribed or anything, you need to take it on yourself to give it to someone that you trust and have it dispense them to you, so you don't risk like relapsing and going back out. Right. You got to take.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It is not a point of weakness. It's a point of smart and common sense.
Just being aware. It's the first step. Whether you're powerless over it, and
it takes strength to give it to someone else and say, I don't want to ruin my life. Can you hold on to this and just
give it to me when I need it? As prescribed. Yeah,
definitely.
Some people need to use some common sense. It's like clean out your medicine cabinets. 60% of the teens that get opioids get them from somebody they know. Just don't be that someone. And they're going to go if you think that you have something in your medicine cabinet that's going to be harmful to anybody, you should lock it in a safe. And I think it's important to understand the impact of trauma. If you see someone struggling with trauma or addiction, help them seek out treatment facilities to get professional help. There's strong correlation between trauma and SUD. Make sure, as you're researching treatment options, that you choose a place that is qualified to attend to trauma. And one-stop shops are no good. You have to go to a specific treatment center for the specific issue. If you don't, then something's going to get missed, and someone's going to get really sick, and then all hell's going to break loose, and you're going to end up going to somebody's funeral. You guys did very well. I'm very impressed. You guys were all nervous out there in the green room, freaking out, and you got all anal retentive and started writing stuff down. Bullet points. Bullet points. Yes. Bullet point Becky. Wow. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I went, really? Are you serious? I thought you were screwing with
on
me.
my own story too. It's not
because you may have forgotten some on the drive over.
Oh my God! After you said it in rehab, like how many times? Like how many times
my God.
Told your story?
Taylor was with me when we were in residential for 32 days, and we would have new facilitators all the time, and then they would want to get to know us. We'd have to retell our stories, and then I would start talking, and I'm like, I'm so sorry that you guys have to hear this again. And everybody's like grinning. There's only like 5 of us. They're just smirking, and I'm like, what? And they're like, your story's just so great. It's so entertaining. I just never get tired of it.
And because she was so shy at first to give the whole story, so little pieces kept getting added, and we're just like, it was like waiting for the next episode. We were like, oh my God, like what's going to happen next?
Because when I first came here, I told people I wasn't even I wasn't using drugs. I was here for anxiety. We hit the drug piece.
Fun fact about Becky: she was withdrawing, and I'm talking to her about my withdrawing, and she's like, "Yeah, I don't feel like that," and I'm like, "This bitch right here."
I was sweating.
Yeah,
sweating, chills,
and just like I can't sleep that well, and I'm like, "Girl." I know how you feel. It
was a little denial.
Yeah, a little denial.
When I got sober, I would have, and it was impossible for me to sleep, and I asked my sponsor, and he said, here's what I need you to do. I need you to count sheep going backwards over the fence 500 times. 500 sheep, right? And I call him back. I swear to God, I was so fried. I call him back. No, wait a minute. Let me get a clarification on this. You want me to get the sheep instead of them jumping over the fence? They're all already on the other side, right? He goes, yes. Listen, so now they're going backwards. Yes. Okay, I got it. I made it to like 45. I was dead asleep.
I'm surprised you went.
It was brilliant.
That long. 500 to 45?
Yeah, no. I was at 45 when I was gone. The last thing I remember was 45. Because, I mean, I'm nuts. So, I'm having to position the sheep. The sheep has to start running backwards, and it has to go a certain way because, I'm gone. I'm fried. So that if the sheep doesn't position itself right, it's going to go flip over and it's going to be on its back and things are going to get fucked up. That's how crazy I was when I first got sober. So then that definitely works. Well, we're at the end of this week's show, but make sure to tune in next week for another hour of brutally honest recovery talk radio. I would like to thank Taylor, Becky, and Michelle for sharing their perceptions on this epidemic and their personal stories with us as well. It was an honor and a privilege.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Our mission is to provide a safe platform for those who are suffering from various forms of addiction. We are just people trying to help out and offer suggestions to help those in crisis. And now we're going to leave you with the wisdom of the late, great John Flynn.
Disappointment is the caboose on the train of expectation. Anything you want from anybody, give them what you want from them. It's the only way you're going to get it. Life is about giving, not getting. Day at a time.
True.
Thank you, John. Thank you for listening. Say goodnight, girls.
Good night.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Good night. Thank you.
You're listening to Life Repair Recovery Talk Radio with Rick Thompson, only on LA Talk Radio.